welcome back to the Roast Morning Podcast. My name is Tom, and I just bought a megaphone.
My hands are on the hood. Please don't make me assume the position for too long. My knees are terrible. I'm Travis.
I don't know if they picked up any of that, Tom. I'm Cody.
What do you mean, Cody? Mike, you go now. You talk now.
You're the engineer.
Wait, what do I have to say?
Introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Mike. My ears are kind of blown out.
I wonder why.
I'm a good friend. Hi. I'll stop.
I'm good. I'll stop using it.
Wait, Officer Tom, what are we
cool.
doing tonight?
Oh, hi. Yeah, I got a megaphone, so I want to show it off.
It's a good megaphone. I like it.
Yeah. It's good times.
Megaphones is like a fleshlight of sound.
How so?
Well, if you want the density of volume to be different and you want to get hard and firm, your eardrums get hard and firm from using them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's called
how sound
tympanic
works.
damage, but okay.
Yeah, tinnitus? Is that the one?
Tinnitus?
Yeah, tinnitus.
The sexual tinnitus?
Yeah. Sexual tinnitus. Tinnitus.
I got a ringing in my dick.
Oh, yeah. What's going on, everybody?
Just hanging out, touching things. I had ice cream this week. It was rolled ice cream.
That sounds disgusting.
Those are cigarettes, Travis.
Yeah, no, someone was just like, had this cold surface that threw shit on it, and they rolled it, and I ate it.
Like a burrito ice cream?
Yeah, kind of. It was like Cold Stone Creamery burrito.
Oh, that sounds pretty good.
Yum.
Nice.
What about you, Cody? You making ice cream on Mount Kalalea Meha?
Ha 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 ha. Racist. No. I got my first haircut on this side of the planet, aka my first Hawaiian haircut.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Little different from New York haircuts. I gotta say, I noticed like some cultural differences. New York, they just like fucking hit you up, do you dirty real quick, and like kick you out after taking like $20 from you. But like, this guy like made sure to like spend a fucking hour with me and charged me like twice as much. And the one thing that I really hate about it is, without asking, he fucking gooped me. And I hate that. I absolutely fucking hate that.
Why?
You gotta, Mike, you need permission to put
true.
goo in a man's hair. You need to understand that, right?
Maybe not.
I can't leave the house without goo in my hair.
I know, but like, you gotta at least give me a warning. If not, like, get my consent. Just be like, I'm gonna pomade you fucking shit up real quick, bro. And like, I'd be like, oh, okay, or no. But he surprise gooped my head, and I was not feeling it afterwards.
Consensual goop.
I always feel weird when I'm at the barber and they put that hot shaving cream on your back of your neck and then shave your neck hair.
I love that.
It's so unexpected, but it's fucking awesome.
Dude, that happened to me at a sleepover one time.
What kind of sleepover?
I don't know, just sleeping, and then something warm like was on the back of my neck, like sticky.
Shaving cream?
gross.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I stayed over at John Henry's one night. I remember that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Tom, what about you?
Well, I've been drinking a lot this week. For fun. Not alone, but I'm out there. I'm having a good time. Friday night, I drank so much that my liver had reached expert level. So when I went to drink on Saturday night, I couldn't feel anything.
Oh, one of those.
So, I was drinking. I was like 8 beers deep, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to drive. So I did drive. So I went. And I picked up some PCP, and I tried that for the first time because I needed to get off on something. And I gotta say, it's pretty wild stuff. I killed a homeless man. Or I think he was homeless. He was asking for the time.
Tom, I don't believe you. Your life is not like a POD song.
Well,
What happened? I've left, and what happened? You're an angel dust boy? Are you wearing dusters, and you're putting powder up your nose?
Well, I mean, look, we have to leave this up to the audience. Do you believe me? We'll see. We'll see what happens. But pretty sure I killed a man last night.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, how was your week?
It was all right. I was the grill master yesterday at my girlfriend's little shindig. That was pretty cool. I never really done that before.
Oh, yeah? What'd you make?
Burgers and hot dogs. I mean...
You gotta start somewhere, man.
Yeah.
Good simple stuff.
Were they cooked all the way through, or did people leave with holding their stomachs?
No, I mean, one kid wanted his really raw. I was kind of grossed out by that. But I never used a charcoal grill before, so my flame was kind of weak. And it was like a shitty one from Target.
No, you just
took
gotta
me, like,
throw that off,
forever
as
to
that was a
cook one
slow
burger.
burn.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah, it was
that's what
gourmet.
all dads do. Like,
So,
Gourmet slow cook.
no
Yeah.
cheese, no ketchup.
Just
They're
a raw
plain
burger?
burgers on buns.
Oh, really? Oh, I wish I was there.
Yeah.
I would have killed
You gotta
someone
play-
without PCP.
you got to play that off as like a burger purist move. Like, no condiments tonight. Just have the burger, the hamburger.
Wait, Tom. What did you do when you were on PCP?
No.
And who died this week?
What I did, I took off my shirt and then smoked DMT. And now
Cool.
I'm starting another podcast where I'm going to ask people things.
Well, did someone else die on PCP that we're going to talk about today?
Oh, I see what you're doing. Not PCP, but worth talking about. Tonight we're going to roast one hot guitar wiener named Jimi Hendrix.
I know that boy.
Wait,
I love
the
Jimi
same,
Hendrix.
The same Jim Hendrix that is a guy that can play guitar backwards and light it on fire?
Yeah, that's the one. So everyone knows who Jimi Hendrix is, right?
Yeah.
Cody, stop lying. You don't know who Jimi Hendrix is.
I was gonna say my racist brain head gets him confused with Prince all the time for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing. No, they don't even sound similar. But like, I guess
They
they
both
just
play
have,
guitars.
Yeah.
They have guitars and they're like eccentric type people, I guess.
And I like purple.
If you don't know who Jimi Hendrix is, or if you want a quick summary, he's the only guy your flaming straight 55-year-old Uncle Mark wants to have sex with. He's the only guy that Uncle Mark would let finger his asshole with those long Pizza Hut breadstick fingers, just so he could feel the dexterity of those shredding mozzarella dingers. Fingers so high out of the oven that you can hear strings sizzle as he's playing The Wind Cries Mary. Only Mary is your nostalgic Uncle Mark, talking about how one man came and changed the world by ripping Voodoo Child with the Dunlop wah pedal, the same one he picked up by outbidding some punk-ass bitch 14-year-old on eBay that probably doesn't know anything about real music anyway.
Well, I'm erect now.
Jimi Hendrix swooned the land of rock and roll with his fleshy, soupy guitar licks. And he changed a whole generation of guitar players. He got groovy.
He got
Wow.
riding
Isn't he
down the
like a
highway.
Aren't hippies like peaceful?
He's you know, honestly, I wouldn't call Jimi Hendrix a hippie after doing my research. He was really embraced by
Just
the
hung out with
hippies.
them.
At the end of the hippie movement, they did embrace him, but he really wasn't aligned with any political philosophy whatsoever. He was more of a bum that liked scarves.
Okay.
I see.
Yeah.
There's that category of homeless. I gotcha.
Exactly. So, just as a heads up, this is going to be a little bit of a different episode because during my research of Jimi Hendrix, his parents are extreme scumbags.
Ah.
So, we're going to talk about 3 people.
Oh,
Okay.
shit.
Yeah. So,
Trifecta.
let's make this happen. We're going
Got
way
it.
back. Like I said, I'm starting this out a little further back because Jimi Hendrix's whole goddamn family was a cock-a-hoop train wreck. Jimi Hendrix comes from an extremely diverse background that puts Burger King kids to shame. Cherokee
Okay.
on both sides of the family, a little white slave owner in the mix, and of course, African American.
And where's the handicap kid?
Don't forget wheels.
Don't forget wheels.
I have some handicap in here for you. Don't worry about it.
Ooh.
All covered.
Right.
We are not excluding anyone this episode.
My interest is piqued.
I feel like we're going to get picked up by Universal or some other huge corporation right now because we're hitting all the demographics.
Hashtag Jimmy is bad.
Come on.
Hashtag beer and racial slurs.
His father, James Allen Hendrix, or Al, was a 6-fingered Canadian who moved to Seattle to work in 1941. There, he
Whoa.
met a lovely 16-year-old named Lucille Jeter. He was
Oh,
22
Derek
at the
Jeter.
time. Yeah.
Did you say 6-fingered, sir?
Yes, he had 6 fingers.
6 fingers on a hand or all together is my question.
He had an extra pinky.
Oh, that's cool.
That
Dude, yeah.
at birth, they tried to tie it off and see if it
Wait,
would
2
fall
extra
off.
pinkies or one? Is he?
It's
is he
one on
weird?
each
How
side.
weird is he? Okay.
If you didn't know this, that our ancestors, the Neanderthals, or as others would like to call them, total jerks, they actually had 6 fingers.
No way.
Yeah.
We had 6 fingers.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude, I think that
ancestors did?
the 6 fingers made Miss Jeter very happy, and that's how babies are born.
Well, look up a Neanderthal skeleton, and you'll see that there are 6 fingers. Now, there was like a little bone in the finger, and there was just a touch of nail, like
Is it like the dew claw of
like a baby
dog?
toenail, like on the edge of the finger. It was like a
dew claw.
yeah, like,
Mike, just so you know, like humankind is like always losing like the finger on the outside. That's why your pinky's the smallest one. So like your great grandchildren might only have 4 fingers.
Dude, we're gonna turn into Ninja Turtles. The fuck?
That's what you're looking forward to, Travis?
No, well, you eat it makes more sense for eating pizza.
yeah. Lucille and Al dated for a while, and Al showed Lucille all of his sick dance moves. He was known around town as a great dancer.
Pop it and lock it.
Oh.
He was short, stocky, really strong, but just could move around. You know, he had a mustache that just said everything for him, so he just moved with his body.
His hips didn't lie.
Dancing Al.
Yeah, his Lucille's parents didn't really think much of this. They just thought she was getting into a little teenage mischief, and they weren't going to date. So they weren't too worried about it. But then Lucille got pregnant, so they had to worry about it.
Teenage mischief.
Yeah,
Then
he danced in a weird position.
Yeah.
He was doing the Macarena a little too close.
Yeah, the horizontal mambo.
Yeah, one of those dance positions you need 6 fingers for.
They were dancing naked.
Ooh.
There's a family in Brazil. There's 14 people with 6 fingers that are totally dexterous.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Weirdos. So then took place a beautiful, beautiful shotgun wedding, and everyone was happy but Al. But then 3 days later, Uncle Sam saved him by drafting him to fight for our freedoms in World War II.
Oh, thank you, Sam.
Good old man in a top hat coming to the rescue. What, you got baby? You could go fight in World War II.
Just imagining Travis like soliciting door to door, and an Uncle Sam get up like, "You got baby? Go
You got
here."
baby? You want to go fight the enemies or me? Go over there.
I like how you didn't know the enemies off the top of your head.
Do you also hate the idea of chopsticks? Let's do this.
Does bratwurst make you furious?
Just hand him a grenade after the handshake.
All right. So before the expecting mother, Lucille, gave birth to little Jimmy, she would write Al constantly, writing sweet yet longing letters to her 5'8" handsome military hunk. But oddly enough, when Johnny Allen Hendrix popped out of the oven, November 27th, 1942, the letters had stopped coming as often. Johnny is Jimmy, and I'm going to clear that up later. Al had requested furlough to witness the birth of his son, but his commanding officers denied him so hard they threw him in the stockade for 2 months in fear of him going AWOL.
Wait, was Al African American or was he white? Because I know they had different regiments in World War because we were a racist fucking country. Like white people couldn't fight with black people, and
Yeah, he was black. So I was just gonna say that I'm pretty sure those particular officers who threw him in the brig were just being racist pricks because he was stationed on the East Coast, and childbirth furloughs were fairly standard military practice for people who remained on U.S. soil.
Okay.
yeah.
So I think they were just fucking with this guy.
That sucks.
So I do feel bad for him. But Al didn't get to see his kid for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
He also hadn't heard much from his wife, Lucille. She had become somewhat adventurously dangerous in regards to using her vagina.
Ooh.
Lucille had not been receiving the wartime money that Al was supposed to be sending over there. Legend has it, she had named her child after the actual father, named Johnny Page. In the few letters she did send to Al, she would not say the kid's name as to not rub it in. She and everyone else in the family called the kid Buster as a nickname.
Oh, no.
Buster, what it is right now. What it is right now. And also, was that Jimmy Page that was banging her?
No, it's Johnny Page. Jimmy Page was an Englishman
Jimmy Page was
who was
like
banging.
3, right?
Jimmy Page, at this point, yeah, Jimmy Page would also be about 3.
Thank you.
Very fertile 3-year-old.
Al did actually spend some time over in not in Japan, but in the area, not Iwo Jima or anything. I'm not exactly sure where he was stationed, but he was on a boat out there or something. In 1945, by the time Al returned to Seattle to meet his baby boy for the first time, he and Lucille had already began divorce proceedings. Lucille had left Buster with some friends, the Champs, for what was supposed to be a few days, but turned into a few months.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Al ended up finding his son with the Champs in California, who were taking pretty good care of him. They had proposed the idea that they adopt Buster, which wasn't a bad idea, as Al was a fucking mess, and Lucille was running around, spreading her vagina like a goddamn hula hoop.
Oh.
We just, wave it around your head just like a helicopter, as they say in the music land.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. If it dips into the toilet water, just throw it over your shoulders.
Oh,
ew.
gross!
If only.
Well, Al's pride gets the best of him, and he decided that he needed to keep his son. So he brought him back to Seattle to live in a housing project with Lucille's sister, Dolores. A short time after, Lucille showed up and was like, hey, guess who's back? And Al was like pissed at her, but then he was like, I'm also really hard looking at you. So they decided to stay married.
Is that how it went?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty much exactly what happened. I had what was it? Room of Mirrors was the biography I read for this one. And my goodness, this guy got in.
Sometimes you gotta just throw your vagina around town and be like, guess what? Baby daddy's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, sometimes you gotta air it out. You gotta air out my dick. Sometimes you gotta air out your vagina.
And helicoptering achieves that.
All types of flesh need to be aired out every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you keep a Band-Aid over something, over a cut, it will fester.
Bingo.
Yes.
So
Gotta change the bandage.
the two of these idiots had a fantastic marriage. The two went out and got smashed almost every night while leaving Buster home with Dolores, who would work during the day and then watch all the kids at night. I think she had a couple of her own. She didn't seem to mind babysitting. Eventually, the partying got a little crazy. Lucille would drink and get overly emotional, and Al would start punching shit, like Lucille.
Oh, Kyle. Oh, not like a Kyle.
Wait, no. That's if Lucille was drywall.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming she was not made out of drywall.
No.
That would be correct. She was Cherokee and African-American, not drywall. When Al got a real job at a slaughterhouse, he moved the family into a hotel and took Buster to town hall to uncuck himself by changing his legal name from Johnny to James.
Nice.
All right.
And then he bought him a giant peach.
Kind of.
And then a caterpillar told him to go do shit.
This is not Roald Dahl. This is reality, Travis.
Yeah, it's Raw Hendrix, dude.
I like the verb uncucking.
You just gotta, if you're cucked, the only way out is uncucking. There's no sidestepping that one.
Oh my god.
Al got a job as a merchant marine and left to work in Japan, to find out that a few weeks after leaving, Lucille had been evicted from the hotel for being there with another man. When Al got home, he took Lucille back. Thus began the cycle of top-notch cuckoldry.
Oh, what a sucker.
Oh, come on.
Lucille would continuously run around behind Al's back, and he would take her back after being caught no matter what.
Oh, so he was into it.
He wasn't into it. He beat the shit out of her.
I don't know, Mike.
He would beat... She...
Maybe they were both.
Maybe he was... he was like, all right.
Well, I mean, like...
You do it, I get to get one slap in.
It's just not working, It just takes a little bit of honesty. Just the slightest bit.
slap.
Like, this is not going to work between us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like that. Okay, so if I asked my partner, like, hey, can you go out and buy me some bologna? And they came back with Oscar Mayer, final straw. We're done. We understand. This isn't going anywhere.
You don't want to be cucked by a giant hot dog-shaped vehicle. That's disgusting.
Who the fuck is Oscar?
So this was going on for years. But he was also the kind of guy who didn't want to go out after work. So he would tell her to go out by herself when she wanted to party. And when she got home, he'd be sitting on the front porch super mad about who the fuck knows what. Yeah, he'd usually beat her up when she got home, at least once a week. Nice little shine or two. And Jimmy was kind of in the closet the whole time. He would just hang out in the closet and be crying. Because
Jimmy.
he's the victim of a awful domestic situation.
That sounds terrible.
It's like Harry Potter living in the closet.
No, that's not like Harry Potter. There's no Dobby. There's no Dobby. There's no Harry Potter. Come on. Harry Potter was a magical
Are those the
boy.
only two characters you can remember?
His bedroom was in a closet. And
Okay,
Jimmy's
dude.
in the closet.
All right, but Harry Potter's Muggl's family didn't punch
It wasn't
him
the
in the
mongrels.
So, once
God.
Lucille had moved out completely and lived in a hotel with a Filipino man named Frank for a month. But then Al took her back again. The family moved into an apartment so small.
I don't know why that's so funny.
I don't know either. and I'm
Filipino man
Filipino.
named Frank. I don't know, dude. Like, I loved how specific this author got it.
But not specific enough to drop a last name. He's just the
no,
Filipino
yeah, just the
guy,
Filipino
Frank.
man named Frank.
Got it.
So yeah, they moved into an actual apartment this time, and it was really small. So they, instead of like, they were like, oh, Jimmy's always crying in the closet. They just made his bedroom the closet. So that's
All right. Now it's Harry Potter. I agree.
Wasn't under the stairs.
Remember how Jimmy was named Johnny? Like I just brought up
Yes.
before. So Johnny Page was a wild pimp. He got out of jail around 1949. He was dead bent on hoeing Lucille out in Kansas City. One night, while Lucille, Al, Dolores, and some others were leaving a theater, Johnny Page showed up like a member of the Foot Clan and grabbed Lucille in an attempt to kidnap her. Even though Al was a total cuck, he was not the kind of cuck you want to fuck with. Al clocked Jimmy one real nice in the kisser and continued to pummel him. Johnny was rarely heard from again. He's probably dead now, so we got that going for us.
Nice.
So Jimmy was dealing with a terrible environment for most of his early life. In fact, all of his early life. He'd either been hiding in the closet while his parents were fighting or partying. Or he'd leave the house entirely and go to his Aunt Dolores' apartment. She was very motherly to him, and she was on the other side of the project. He barely talked at this point, and he had developed quite a stutter.
Oh, okay.
Well, this is a really sad episode, Tom. Thanks for bringing this in.
Yeah.
This is why I said we're going to talk about Al and Lucille for a while so we can make fun of something. We're not making fun of Jimmy right now. That'll happen later when he grows up and his decisions become his own.
Okay.
In 1947, he was given his first instrument, a harmonica, but like most kids, that didn't last long at all. He was one of those kids with an imaginary friend that he took very, very seriously. The imaginary friend was named Sessa. Lucille and Al had another kid, Leon. That was 1947, so Leon, we got another kid. And by multiple accounts, Leon was the favorite child, probably because Al got to be involved with that one.
Leon was so much more professional than Jimmy.
Yeah, well, he got to make him, and he got to see the delivery.
Didn't have Maury back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A couple years later, the two had another kid, Joe. But Al claims to have nothing to do with that one. This poor kid had it really bad. This is the other Burger King kid. He had a cleft palate, clubfoot, and his legs had a very different lengths going on, and it was super noticeable. He also had a really strange genetic oddity, which was he had 2 rows of teeth.
What? That's so cool.
No!
Yeah.
Dude, he's Shark Boy?
Yeah.
It probably sucks, but looks probably cool.
Dude, he got 2 grills.
A lot of toothpaste.
2 sets of grills? A lot of
Yeah.
toothpaste. Wow, these are good. Keep them coming. This poor guy. You're all awful people.
No, because I want
like-
2. I'm jelly of that
No,
part.
you don't. You don't
Yes,
want
I
that.
It's pretty
yeah.
good. You want them more.
Dude, think about how much more efficient he is at eating steaks.
All right.
So we have extra pinky and extra jawline people in this episode already?
What does it even look like?
I don't know. I didn't Google that one because I was deep
Extra
in the
teeth.
trenches of reading. The couple fought over who was responsible for the defects, and the family fell into more turmoil. Jimmy, Leon, and Joe were all suffering. They were all starving all the time.
Oh, no.
Al had refused to pay for any of Joe's much-needed operation expenses, even though the state had agreed to pay for most of it if he just shelled out 5%.
Oh, wow.
But
Good
Al
old
is a cheap
socialism.
prick. Al sent the kids to his mom's place in Vancouver. And then a year later, the parents were feeling good about their relationship, so the kids were sent back.
Oh.
They had another kid named Kathy, who was born blind and
What the
prematurely.
fuck?
This is alcohol shit.
Okay.
These people are
that makes sense.
drinking nonstop.
Yeah, and probably smoking like out of their vaginas while pregnant.
Yeah.
No one do that.
So the rest of the family history was a mess. They ended up giving up Joe to the state because they couldn't
Oh.
supply for him, which is probably a better move for Joe, but
Sorry,
it sucks
Joe,
to be in
gotta
the
go.
foster system just because your parents are fucking assholes.
Yeah.
Jimmy and Leon were shifted around with different living situations, but every time they would always end up back with Al. They would get starved and beaten. Honestly, Al and Lucille, go fuck yourselves.
Yeah, these
Jesus
people are
fucking Christ.
terrible.
Yeah, bad parents.
Jimmy was an introvert at this point. Overall, he was a nice kid. He didn't get
Wait,
into a lot of
why?
trouble.
Wait, you said he was an innie or an outie? This is important fact.
Any.
Innie. Okay.
Yeah, it was an
But it's just like, I wonder why he's a fucking innie.
Yeah, he didn't really get into any trouble. He didn't want to attract attention. He was conscious enough of what was going on, especially after his brother Joe had been taken away. He thought that if he was in trouble, then he would be taken away too. And it was more for being around Leon. And he still felt really attached to Lucille at this point. Even though she was running around doing crazy stuff every now and then, she'd make pancakes. And whenever your parent makes pancakes, you love them.
Yeah, it's his mom.
And
too.
you
It's hard-
forget
it's a hard
everything.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Has any of you guys ever had someone eat pancake batter out of your innie?
Negative.
Okay.
I've
Just
eaten like
checking,
straight
just
up
checking.
pancake batter before, but never out of an innie.
Well, I mean, these are facts. We're building a world here, right, Tom? This is painting the picture, building the world.
Exactly. Jimmy was never the athletic type. His childhood friends remember he cried a lot, and I get that. I
would too.
I fucking get it. You have the worst
but-
parents in the fucking world.
Yeah, we all cried, in our childhood, but he had it particularly rough. But it's just also like, try not to be the guy who's remembered as the guy that cried too much.
Yeah, if you're crying a lot, go beat up another kid. So they're crying a
Hole in our
lot.
wall.
Even the playing field.
If you cry a lot and then someone tries to fight you, you could just drown them.
In salty tears.
Yeah, it's pretty much how it works, dude. I know. It's one
Thank
time
you.
I was in the bathroom, tried to bully me. Let me just cry on you, dude. And now that kid's dead.
Jesus fucking Christ.
You ever hear waterboarding with tears?
Both me
Come
and
on.
Travis have confessed to killing people tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks for stealing my steam, Travis.
All right.
So around 1955, Jimmy was living in a house that Al had taken out a mortgage to pay for, but he couldn't pay for it. There was no power, so Jimmy took to roaming the streets a lot. His interest in music had started to develop. He'd walk around the streets of Seattle, and if he heard a band playing or practicing in someone's house, he would knock on the door and be like, "Hey, let me in."
Okay.
Extremely safe behavior. Different
Yeah.
times. So to make up for their lack of income, Al took in boarders in his shitty house. One of the one of the boarders was named Ernestine, and she bought a whole bunch of blues albums with her and treated Jimmy very well, a bit motherly. This was part of Jimmy's inspiration. So between knocking on doors to get into random bands playing and then hearing all these blues albums and having someone to talk to about them, that was good. And then every now and then she would give him money to go buy a record,
Oh,
a 45.
nice.
Yeah, very
What-
kind person.
Cool.
What did he get? Smash Mouth or
Well, he got the first one because it's this is 1955, so
Okay,
he got
cool.
them. Might as well be walking on the sun.
Oh, okay. That's a great intro to
Nice.
music. If you had
I like
to pick
that one.
a song, that's it.
So Jimmy had become obsessed with the idea of playing guitar by the age of 13. But since he didn't have one and Al refused to do anything good for anybody, Jimmy ended up carrying around a broom all over the place. He'd broom guitar all the time. He'd just be brooming. A social worker had actually witnessed Jimmy holding a broom and playing air guitar in the wild and confronted Al and told him if he didn't buy Jimmy an instrument, he'd probably damage his psyche. But, of course, Al refused because Al's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So he's like air guitaring and shit. He's like,
Yeah, he's like full-time air guitaring. Well, broom guitaring.
I mean, have you guys seen the air guitar champions or whatever? They have like
Oh, it's Bill and Ted.
actual.
No.
They have actual tournaments for air guitar.
I hate it.
Really?
You know what it
Wow.
is? Because I don't like fun that much anymore. So
Yeah,
when I see
okay.
that, I go, you gross.
You know who won one of those? Was our guest from the Darwin episode, James.
James won an air
Yeah, he
guitar
won like a
competition.
bottle of
That's pretty
champagne
cool.
doing
Wow.
an air guitar competition.
I never said I liked everything about all of my friends.
Was it an actual bottle of champagne, or were they like they gave him nothing? It was like, here's an air bottle of champagne.
Air bottle.
Bragging rights, bro.
Dude, I'm so air drunk.
So when the bank foreclosed on Al's house, they moved into a boarding house across town. There was some paraplegic kid who played guitar with one string on it. Jimmy asked to buy it from him when the kid was no longer interested, and the kid's mom said, sure, $5. Ernestine, the same boarder who showed him all the blues records, bought it for him.
Oh, that's nice of her.
Fucking Al.
Wait, is Seattle in the 1950s like Dickensian London? Like that's what it fucking sounds like.
It had a lot of really poor people, but it was very diverse, and I'm sure there was racism, but it was pretty easygoing. Big old melting pot over there.
Hell yeah, Pacific Northwest. What up?
Woot woot.
Sure, whatever. In 1958, Lucille had contracted hepatitis C and had cirrhosis of the liver. One evening, she was found in an alley behind a bar with a ruptured spleen.
Ow.
She was rushed to the hospital, but due to an unnatural influx in stabbings that night, she received no attention until it was too late, and she died.
Wow. Fuck everything.
Dude, fucking spleen. What a party pooper.
Doesn't do anything but kill us.
By the way, if you have hepatitis C or cirrhosis of the liver, that doesn't do that to your spleen. So most likely she was hit.
Oh, okay.
You think someone stabbed her there?
Not stabbed, but like hit her in the gut, like really hard.
Spleen shot.
So Al didn't let Jimmy and Leon attend their mother's funeral.
Why the fuck
What a
not?
piece of shit.
He's a garbage man. Jimmy forever hated his dad for this one.
Nothing against garbage men. Very important. One of the most important roles in our society.
The metaphorical garbage man, not the unionized ones.
Okay, cool. Just making it clear.
After his mother's death, Jimmy adopted a lifestyle devoid of plans. He was aloof. Anytime something bad would happen, he would often just leave the room. He wanted to live entirely within the moment, and anything that bothered him, he would just drop.
Okay.
It's not a bad
I
way
guess
to live
that
your
works.
No, it's a pretty bad way to live because you just never deal with your problems.
How old is he right now?
13.
13. Okay. Wow, that's kind of very existential way of living at 13.
Yeah.
So he has this guitar. That's the only thing he really cares about. He managed to get it restrung, and he's making weird noises on it. Like I said, after the whole thing with his mom, he becomes more drift. His grades also suck, which I'm not surprised. His guitar playing also stopped for a while, but that was fixed pretty quickly because the musicians in the area were mostly hobbyists. No one was really like competing in the music scene there. So there was this open idea of just like sharing licks and teaching each other stuff, as opposed to like a lot of bands who are trying to do it professionally. They don't trade secrets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I mean, yeah, Tom, you're coming from a music background here. You have a music. One of the other shows you do is a music show. When you say licks, are they licking each other's eyeballs or something?
No. Why are you...
Are they licking each other's anuses?
Well, I can't say that isn't the case.
Okay, I'm just making it clear. What are we talking about here?
I'm talking
Those
about
like the only
sweet
two
guitar.
body parts worth licking, Travis.
Eyeballs and anuses.
Eyeballs and anuses.
I could think of one more to put in
Yeah,
there.
one
but
more. One more, too.
This is an educational podcast,
Yeah, there's
so I'm not going to
there's
bring it
one
up.
more that's on 50% of the population.
Yeah. So Jimmy stopped going to school and just stayed out and was learning a whole bunch about his guitar. Ernestine finally bugged the shit out of Al to buy Jimmy a real guitar. Al caved eventually and bought Jimmy a white Supro Ozark guitar. And he also bought a saxophone for himself.
Oh, cool.
And this was this was on credit. So Al ended up returning the sax shortly after. If you didn't know, Jimmy played lefty on righty guitars his whole life. So he had to restring every guitar he got. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but whatever. Jimmy ends up playing with a group of older boys. He didn't have an amp at this point, so he'd have to borrow them. So the boys put together a set, and they had Jimmy playing in the band, and their first show was in a synagogue.
Oh.
Now, back then, it wasn't like today where you had band slot times, what time are they going on, and then there's
20 minutes or
Right,
half
right,
hour,
right.
and then the next band. It was usually one band did the whole thing, and they would play 2 like 45-minute, maybe 1 hour sets, and they would take an intermission bit. Jimmy's first gig, he goes fucking crazy because he loves the attention. They take intermission, and they fired Jimmy on the spot.
Why?
And then they did the second half of the set without Jimmy
Why?
That's rough.
because he was too flashy.
They were jealous or something like that.
This is like, these people are inspired by R&B, jazz.
Yeah.
So it
was too out
it
of
was more
control.
tame. Like
Yeah.
everyone's bopping their head, smiling, doing the thing. And Jimmy was going nuts. He's dancing around. He's playing like notes that aren't really supposed to be played, just to kind of show off.
I once went to in high school, I went to a techno show that was in a synagogue. That was one of the weirdest events I've ever attended.
How were the acoustics?
I don't know. There was a lot of light sticks and fucking Star Davids, and it was weird.
Was the priest
Wow.
there, or not priest? The
A rabbit?
the rabbi. Yeah.
Rabbits?
I don't
it
know.
sounds
They're
a little
just, like,
circumcised in there.
They're just these weird Jewish, like rave kids. It's strange.
Oh, great.
It was like a J date.
Jesus Christ.
But surely enough, Jimmy was a natural talent, and he was a paid guitarist, session guitarist within the year, making money playing standards and dance halls with various groups. His first main band that he started with someone else was called the Velvetones. But they had too many members. They ended up having like 7 people in the band. All of them were playing guitars, so it just didn't work out. Al was mad that he had bought the guitar for Jimmy because he felt that Jimmy had left his schooling in the dust to, shred. Later on, Al claimed to be very supportive of Jimmy's career, but that wasn't true at all. He was resentful by all other accounts.
He was probably just supportive of the money.
He was. I'll get into that later.
Wow.
Jimmy would leave his guitar at his friend's house or the clubs he was playing at, so Al wouldn't return his guitar. Once, Jimmy left his guitar at a club he was working at, and the next day found the guitar stolen. When Al found out, he beat Jimmy pretty bad. He then joined a band called the Rocking Kings, which did decent with their paid gigs, borrowing guitars and stuff, because he didn't have his own money. But that ended pretty quickly, as Jimmy was like, hey, I'm going to go join the Army, because their same money is good.
He was in the military, and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, Jimi Hendrix, your
He's a veteran.
Star Spangled Banner. He joined up. This is
say, can you, Jim, join the army, boy child? That's my song.
You are.
The guitar, my throat is the guitar.
No, that's not how that works.
I went into the Guitar Center to buy something today. I was like, guess what, guys? My throat is my guitar. They're like, that's pretty sick, dude.
Leave.
Can I have a beer, Mike?
Tom, am I just making you drink?
Yeah. This is obnoxious. I hate him. I hate every fucking guitar. So, Jimmy joins the Army, begins basic training in May 1961, and he asked to be in an airborne infantry because it paid more.
Okay.
During his prime as a rock star, he claimed that he hated the military because it was all full of squares. But letters to his friends and family at the time showed how much he actually liked it.
Weird.
It's not cool to be square.
No.
You know?
Where was he, in Vietnam?
It was pre-Vietnam. Jimmy did eventually get sick of being in the Army and lied about being gay to try to get kicked out.
Oh, wow. How ahead of his time.
It actually worked, and
Do you know how they?
They
Do you know
gave him-
how they were like? They figured that out in the Army back then. They're like, boy, you want discharge? Discharge this.
He ejaculated and left.
No, then you have to. Then they give you an Army regulated. It's very like it's kind of like a food ration, but it's like a dildo. So there's nothing fun about it. It's all
A government dildo.
Yeah, government
Okay.
dildo, and you have to make it discharge in order to get discharged.
Perfect. Thank you, Travis.
Yeah, well, I'm just letting you know a little bit of Army history. Go to West
Thank
Point.
you.
You can go to West Point. Go to their archives. That's what it'll tell you.
that's exactly what they'll tell me.
Yeah.
All right. So it worked, and he got booted out, but later he told people he was injured when he got booted. Upon discharge, he blew $400 immediately. Unable to get back to Seattle, he stuck around California playing weekend gigs and jerking off on the beach, I guess. Whatever people do in
There you
California.
go. Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah.
That's why the taxes are so high.
Yeah.
You got to clean that sand.
Every
Sand is
fucking
all
grain.
sticky.
Dude,
Exactly.
I mean, do you think you ever seen, what was that Gold Beach shit?
Gold Beach, what?
What was that,
Sand
where
what?
Hulk Hogan was? Gold Beach? Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No, I've never been to their beach.
It's basically all jizz. Basically, I mean,
That's why
that's
the
an-
ocean's so salty.
that is a real problem in California.
Jesus Christ.
Extra jizz, man. Well, you know,
Please.
they say in San Francisco it's poop, but it's also extremely, extremely progressive there. So I get it.
Gotcha.
So Jimmy puts a band together with one of his army buddies, Billy Cox, and a couple other guys. He actually ended up touring the country in an old Plymouth that didn't have a reverse in it. Sometimes he dealt with some serious racism. In fact, touring around was his first experience with racism because being in Seattle was his own like diverse little bubble.
Uh-huh.
Still, playing guitar ruled his life. He started using light amphetamine so he could practice for extremely long hours.
He's a workhorse.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfectionist.
He spent time in Nashville, and Billy Cox actually landed him a studio musician, a gig as a studio musician for Frank Howard and the Commanders. The producer ended up killing Jimmy's contributions entirely because of his silly, wild playing.
Huh.
Yeah, 1964, Jimmy moves to Harlem, New York to get work as a musician. Proved to be much more difficult than he was led to believe by several of his other friends who had said playing around New York is easy. Firstly, Harlem was extremely conservative about their music. Blues, R&B, and jazz only. None of this rock and roll shit. And that was Jimmy's bag.
What about reggaeton?
No.
That's just 2 years later.
Okay.
Seattle was much more of an integrated place than New York, which I mentioned before. At this time, Jimmy had crazy sexual appetite. Wow.
Applebee's.
Yeah.
He's had appetite. Why have I never seen that word before?
That's a cool word.
Jimmy's got the appetite, the sexual appetite. So he was shy, but back then, shy was like a cute thing. In the early 60s,
Uh-huh.
unlike today, it's not like the 60s, guys. If you want to sleep with a woman, you have to let her know within the first 5 minutes of meeting her, or else you're going to be friend-zoned forever. Boomers had it easier.
Okay.
They were able to be quiet and cute. Jimmy was one of those guys.
Also, nowadays, you need a contract. Make sure you have you carry around a contract all the time.
You gotta shake hands.
Yeah, you have to record all your conversations. You don't want to get Me Too'd. Even the nicest guys get Me Too'd.
You gotta record it.
It's true.
I was gonna say fire a flare into like her bedroom window and state your declaration from the sidewalk.
I am hoping to have sex with you at some point.
Preferably tonight.
Will you receive my penis? Please pen your name on the dotted line.
Why is that guy talking like that?
Well, this is how you get women, Cody.
That's true. Being regal. So when he did finally get a girlfriend, he was very difficult to be around. If his hair didn't look right, he wouldn't want to leave the house. And this didn't add up at all because the rest of him was pretty shitty. He had awful acne and he smelled like shit and his clothes were garbage even when he
no.
did have a little bit of money. But he was always about perfect hair.
I see.
Okay, I guess.
See, I mean, when I see pictures of Jimi Hendrix, I don't think perfect hair. He's kind of just ties like a bandana around his head.
He had clown hair. He had the afro thing, but it was teased out.
Okay.
It was like the straightened afro, if you would.
Gotcha.
Which was in. That was in back then.
Uh-huh.
Jimmy was a top-notch freeloader. He lived with a drug dealer who offered him the opportunity to sell some drugs to make money, but Jimmy refused and insisted that crashing there for free, he'd be able to play more guitar, and this was much more of a noble cause. And I guess his drug dealer friend was okay with that. One of his gigs that he was touring with a well-known stripper named Pantera.
What?
Also, probably not named after the band, because this is 30 years before, but...
I'm broken.
Maybe the band's named after her.
Yeah.
Wait, did she have a broken vagina? Wait, did Jimmy meet her at the cemetery gates?
Well, that's an interesting thing. We can contest that at some point. Yeah.
Their favorite sexual position was concrete cowgirl.
He was touring around with Uncle Phil and Selma. Jimmy will tell you how not racist I am.
Hey, Tom. Hey, Tom. This is a little sidebar here. Was Dimebag Darrell an asshole? Can we roast him?
He seemed like a pretty normal dude who just like had a problem with cocaine. But he never had to do anything shitty for it because he had a shit ton of money.
Why are all the metal people, like, cool?
Oh, dude, there's plenty of not cool metal people.
All right.
Are they dead?
A few of them are dead. I mean,
Who's the worst one?
Okay.
I don't want to talk about this now because we could do it for a future episode.
Okay, well, let's keep talking about James Hendrix.
He then worked with the Isley Brothers. A few of you might know them. He was a touring musician. That was his first big act. He had been a studio touring musician for a couple of years at this point and got pretty sick of it. So he decided to go solo. But he kept changing his name around. He kept being Jimmy Jim or Jimmy James or James Jimmy Jim, which confused the industry people that he had met during his course of being a touring musician.
Jimmy.
I think he should have been called James Nasium.
Okay.
All right, well,
Why?
because he had mad sick curls?
No, he's like James Nasium. That's the best nickname for Jim. Hands down.
All right.
Prove me wrong. At me.
Who is James Nasium?
It's a two-part joke, Mike. Now, if your name is Jim,
Yeah.
there's also that thing phonetically called the gym, where you go work out.
Yeah,
And the gym is short for
Just killed the
gymnasium.
frog for Mike.
So now it's Jamesnasium because you're taking the short.
and also Jim.
Still laughing.
And also, Jim as a gymnasium is the way that you would spell gym if you were a gynecologist.
Oh my god.
Oh,
They're not gymicologists, Travis.
They are.
so he started dating a 16-year-old hooker, Diana Carpenter. The two took to thievery to survive, as Diana dropped the hooking thing after being beat by a customer, I guess.
Hey, John.
One John, yes. So this John beat her, and Diana was like, well, I'm 16. I'm not going to do that anymore. So shortly after that, Diana started secretly hooking again, though, after she discovered she was pregnante. When Jimmy found out, he beat her with a belt, yelling, if I tell you to do something, you do it. I'll show you fat meat is greasy.
Kinky.
No.
Fat meat
What?
is greasy.
That scrambled me for a second.
Oh,
It's not like
boy.
bacon.
I'm
No comedy here. Just a
Yeah,
sick man yelling about fat.
retorted right now.
Wait, but also, it sounds like Jimmy's turning into a little, like his dad, Jimmy Neutron, Al.
Yeah.
No. I hate how you like hook me into agreeing with you and then just fucking take a left turn at Albuquerque.
Dude, well, he's basically Jimmy Neutron. Look at his forehead. It's like Al's ego and how bad Al is all condensed into his giant forehead.
Yeah,
Yes.
big heads are evil. You heard it here.
And I'd like to thank you, Travis, for pointing this out. This is the turning point for Jimmy.
Okay.
He's no longer the victim. He was a victim for most of his life. So that can make you understand maybe where he comes in with some of these shortcomings he has. But now he's got to own them. So,
Learn from your parents' mistakes. That's how if you're a spawn of a human, you're supposed to learn from the fucking shitty toads that birthed you, because you're just a fucking tadpole, and fucking evolve and not be like those toads.
are you saying that your parents are tadpoles? And you have to evolve to not be like them?
No, I'm
So
saying you
turn
are
to
the
a toad?
tadpole. Don't become the toad. Become the butterfly. Go into
But
that
you
cocoon.
will. Genetically, you'll
Okay.
Go into that
It all makes sense
cocoon,
now.
dude.
go into that cocoon. Okay. That makes more sense.
It makes so much
the
sense,
two,
dude. It's biology, dude. I learned it. I had like a fruit fly as a pet in school.
What was its name? What'd you name it?
I named it Reginald 7.
What happened to Reginald 6?
Reginald 6. I swatted him. Because he didn't learn from his parents. He was still a tadpole. He was just a dumb idiot. You know what I mean? Like, this is how...
I'm so confused.
This
right
is
now.
how psychology was born, pretty much, if you think about it. Like, think about Kratos, the great Greek philosopher.
Yeah, okay.
No, think about how far we've come, how much of a tadpole we are not. Now I'm talking like Yoda, dude.
I think you're just talking with like cider.
Hey,
You're drinking ciders now, right?
Dude, I had
You're
two,
fucking
I had
hopped
two
up on
ciders.
sides. What else you drinking, you fucking weenie?
Dude, I'm also drinking this guava splash from
Put it
7-Eleven.
down. Put it down. Don't touch it anymore.
Yeah, was the safety ring intact on that?
It's a replenish from 7-Eleven. They have that on Long Island.
So while Jimmy and Diana were still dating, she casually asked him to go see a movie. And the movie was called Madame X.
Oh.
Jimmy assumed that this was about prostitution, and he flew into a fit of rage and stormed out. He then found a John, who was an undercover cop, to be solicited by and then arrest Diana.
What?
Being underage, the police officer gave her 2 options: 3 years in jail or a bus ticket back home to her parents. Obviously, she took the ticket, and Jimmy never met his first child.
Oh, fuck. Was that actually his child, though?
Yeah, totally.
How do you know
Is
she
the
was a
child
hoe?
still alive today?
Well, she was hoeing, but, like, he was raking.
I'm just thinking that Jimmy might have been doing that dance that he's not the father.
Okay.
Yeah, Jimmy has illegitimate children all over the place. He has never claimed any of them. That's just a little foreshadowing here of the old cock.
Yeah, he's
Got it.
He's shooting his Jimmy Johns all over the place.
Am I understanding correctly that Jimi Hendrix orchestrated a sting against his unborn child?
Yes.
What the fuck?
Well,
That's a new one for this cast.
well, if you're a father and you don't technically want to walk out on your kid, make your kid walk out on you.
Not my fault.
Stop being a tadpole. Yeah, stop being a tadpole. Grow some legs. Fucking walk out.
Dude,
Right.
hold on a second, Cody. I just dropped that again. I think I'm gonna come out with some like fucking
I
self.
regret it already.
I'm
Move
gonna
on.
come out with some like self-help tapes or some shit. I'm gonna be like one of those like YouTube gurus. Don't be a tadpole.
Can that be our bonus episodes?
Yeah.
Just Travis rambling about tadpoles and butterflies.
All right.
Oh, I'd love to see you like on an infomercial or something like that with like a fucking waterfall behind you.
Yeah, all I need to do is
Preaching
go
about
like rent a
tadpoles.
Lambo for like $200 and like say like, you want this? You want this? Just don't be a tadpole, bro.
Be a butterfly.
So around this same time, Jimmy got into taking acid. Keith Richards from the
Hey.
Rolling Stone had a girlfriend named Linda, who discovered Jimmy by accidentally wandering into the Cheetah Club while he was playing as a hired gun for a band.
Okay.
They ended up chatting, and she took him and some of her other friends back to her hotel room, and they took acid, which was also kind of funny. She offers him acid, and he goes, I don't know about that, but I'd like to try that LSD stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, one's a gateway drug to the other.
Yeah, he honestly didn't know, but apparently that was quite the laughing stock of the evening.
I remember that happened to
Isn't the
me,
same
and then
stuff?
someone was like, you want to try acid? And I just took a double A and cracked it, put it in my mouth.
How was that night?
And became a butterfly.
Oh, it was a great night. I was in the hospital. There's a lot of beeping going on. It was like pretty groovy.
Free morphine.
Yeah.
Wow. Just chain reacts.
Yeah. So it wasn't long before he was doing that pretty regularly. Also, acid was considered a white person drug. He was one of the only guys in Harlem. He was already getting a hard time from the rest of the people living up there. Like, oh, yeah, why are you playing rock and roll? Why does your hair look like that? Why do you wear those clothes?
Because acid.
So Jimi Hendrix is the whitest black person in the world so far. He's also Cherokee, so that's not good for that
Okay.
whole nation. You know, you got to represent.
Because of Jimmy, there was more than one tear cried on the side of the road.
He had enough tears for every Lay's potato chip bag that's ever gone out of a moving car on a highway.
Yeah.
Let's talk about his live shows again. So he started getting he put together a band called the Blue Flames, and he was able to take these like hit songs from the radio and do them in like 2-3 times the length in his weird psychedelic jammy way, but he actually kept it interesting the whole time. He's pretty good at that.
Wait, Tom. So he's the person that you fucking hate, those metal cover bands on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
No. Excuse me. No.
Yes.
That's not what I'm talking about. For those of you who don't know this, go listen to our episode that we did with the Thought Cops, friends of ours. I talk about when people on YouTube do metal covers of shit.
Okay.
Stop.
Yeah, but this is just like Fish
Stop.
covers of Ariana Grande.
No, that's not. It's not necessarily true. Jimmy took some really bread and buttery songs and made them something else.
Okay.
Performance acts, cool shit. I'm not into jam, but if you listen to some of his live recordings, he does pretty interesting things. He always gets together some really great players and keeps it going. So here I am talking really kindly about someone that I'm supposed to not be doing that about. So fuck you guys. Thanks for putting me down that rabbit hole. His playing had made the other players in the area somewhat jealous. Linda tried to get Jimmy in the spotlight and would bring industry people to the shows. Keith Richards has heard about his girlfriend's interest in Jimmy and wanted to kill him. Linda went out of her way to help Jimmy's career. She's probably the only reason that we know about this weenie today.
Wow.
So then enters the picture Brian Chaz Chandler.
No.
He's the bass player of The Animals. You might know their song House of the Rising Sun.
That is also the whitest name I've ever heard. Brian
Yes, it
Chaz Chandler.
Yeah.
That's pretty up there. That's Bleach.
Yeah.
You know anyone named Chaz, Mike?
Isn't that short for Chad?
Charles, dog.
Or it's like a combination of
Chandler.
Chad.
I don't know. I mean,
Could be.
Wait, Chaz is short for Charles.
Oh.
Thought it was
I only
Chandler.
know him
but they're all one-syllable words.
Yeah, I know, right?
Chaz.
So he's a bass player of The Animals, and he was looking to leave The Animals and start a producing career. He also fell in love with the song Hey Joe by Tom Rose that had hit the radio. Jimi Hendrix also knew that song and decided to do a cover, which is more famous than the original now. And just by chance, Chaz runs into Linda, and Linda's like, hey, come on down to the show. My buddy Jimmy's playing. So Chaz walks into the show, and he's tall as fuck and like bigger than everyone else. You know, he's got that producer money. He's just ready to go. And he sees Jimi Hendrix play Hey Joe, and he's just like, oh, that's the fucking song. So Chaz wanted to get into producing. He heard that song and was just like, if I can get that song on the UK charts, it's going to do huge. So he talks to Jimmy, and he's like, yo, Jimmy, I like the way you play that song. You play that a lot better than the original. You should come over to me to the UK. And let's talk about it. You understand? You understand, Jimmy? We're going to go to the UK, and we're going to make you big over there.
I didn't even know that was a cover. Wow.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I didn't
lot
know
of-
that either.
I thought that was his song.
A lot of Jimi Hendrix songs are covers, but that's very typical for the beginning of a recording artist's career.
Yeah.
Back then.
Okay, yeah.
Well, isn't
That makes sense.
All Along the Watchtower? That's like Bob Dylan, right, or some shit?
Yeah, that's Bob Dylan. Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
We
not
learned it tonight, boys.
That was kind of like industry standard back then. That's not him ripping people off. You would learn other people's songs, you would re-record them, and see if you can put them on pop charts other than the one they came from.
Yeah, it was like Eiffel 65. They covered me when they did "I'm Blue Abadi Abadi."
That's not fucking true.
That is true, Cody. Shut up! It's so true. I went triple platinum. I went triple platinum in Lithuania. It was great.
Jimmy was hesitant about working with Chaz because he'd have to go to England. This is my favorite part of this episode thus far. So his biggest concern about going to England was he wasn't sure if his guitar would work with the electricity they had in England.
Okay, maybe.
The good old UK governor electricity.
UK's
All
got
right,
weird
bruv.
currents,
All
man.
right, bruv. You plug this shit in here, then you bruv.
It's 7 o'clock in the evening. All power goes off, especially rock and roll items. They're all off. We'll be fining you 50 pence for every minute you play rock and roll over this time.
But yeah, he was actually concerned that his guitar wouldn't work if he plugged it in over there. And just, like that being a concern, it's just like, well, then get an English guitar. If that was a thing.
Right.
But it's not a thing. Just bring your guitar.
Wow.
There's an English guy telling you to come with him, and he's going to give you money. Just do it.
If anything, their electricity's better because they have shrimp-flavored chips over there. Come on.
When you say chips,
Crisps.
okay.
Packets of crisp.
Shrimp
Right?
flavored.
Do they call them packets, though? It's like a bag of chips, packets of crisp.
Sachet. A sachet of shrimp.
Yeah, my fucking neck just spazzed out.
Dude, I don't want to cause you a stroke, Mike. You're too young for that.
Oh, that's funny.
Mike, take it easy on your neck.
Mike, as a doctor on this show, Travis from the Doctors.
God fucking
I'm going to
damn it.
tell you that your age, your demographic, just dab it out, dude. It's like, I don't know, floss
Yeah,
it out
loosen.
or something.
Oh, there we go.
Loosen that
That's so much better now.
sternocleidomastoid out.
All right, so September 1966, Jimmy gets to England. He has instantly gained the nickname Wild Man of Borneo. This
That's
was
pretty fucking racist.
That is wow. Okay.
That's some
But-
good
but
old,
apparently-
good old English racism right there.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
very welcoming.
most of the English people he met never even saw a black person before, and they liked the novelty, so they treated him well. So it was, I wouldn't say reverse racism, I'm going to say racism with perks.
Perk.
Oh, that's the
Perk
best
racism.
racism.
Like, everyone wanted to buy the Cherokee black guy a beer, because they hadn't done that before, and they could tell their friends about it later. As
All right.
opposed to, hey, like, it was the opposite of, like, hey, you can't use that bathroom. That's what was happening in the States. Over there, it was just like, hey, you can use the bathroom before me. Can I stand in the room and watch your monster dong come out of your pants?
Yeah, let me hold it for you. Let me shake it off while you're done.
Wow.
By the following year, he was a rising star. Chandler, or Chaz, had enlisted the drummer Mitch Mitchell and the bassist Noel Redding to create the Jimi Hendrix Experience. His first album, Are You Experienced, was released in the UK May 12, 1967, and spent 33 weeks on the top of the charts, peaking at number 2.
Wow. Okay. Big
Yeah.
deal.
He brought in money.
But what was he asking people if they were experienced in? That's the question.
Fellatio.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
I think it was a sexual thing. Also, the Jimi Hendrix Experience is one of the laziest names.
I mean, Mitch Mitchelson's pretty lazy.
That's like lazy for
Yeah,
a
but he was-
person.
That was lazy parents. They were down at the pub when they were thinking names.
All right,
Also,
Drinking
yeah.
pregnant.
All right, what's your last name, Mitch?
Your name is Mitchell, right? Last name, mother's last name, Mitchell. Son, Mitchell. How's that work for you? Is all right, love? Just keep your son's name like that. All right.
I like that you don't know the last name of the broad you knocked out. And she's drinking pregnant.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but I just want to throw in here that is maybe the Jimi Hendrix Experience. When I say that's a lazy name, maybe there's another podcast that was a little lazy with their name too.
Pretty fucking lazy.
Yeah,
The initials are DMT.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty much our podcast if we all did DMT.
Since I hate talking about other people's successes, and Jimi Hendrix went on to be the world's highest paying rock star, I will get right to the juice from here. He was a very good guitar player, and I can't knock that.
Okay.
I like his music. Yeah, it's awesome.
He does good music. He did it right.
I think he's a good singer too.
Yeah, he actually didn't like his voice at all,
Really?
but he had charisma, and everyone else told him to just sing. I think he had a good voice. I think he was the whole package when it comes to a rock star.
All right.
Do you think he lit his guitar on fire? I mean, that's a big popular thing.
Yeah.
Do you think he ever took a diarrhea dump on it though? Big question.
He may have actually. He might have. We not documented, but could be.
Yeah, there was no fire extinguisher ready, so it just squirted
Yeah,
on
that
it.
Santa Fe show just fucking. No, actually, I remember my mom. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was my mom. She went to go see or maybe it was my uncle. I don't know. Someone went to go see, I think, the Monkees at Shea Stadium in New York, where the Mets used to play.
Wow.
Great.
And Jimi Hendrix opened for the Monkees. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of like screaming girls. Like we just did the Backstreet Boys guy. The Monkees were the Backstreet Boys of the time. So it's all these like, oh, the Monkees, ah! And Jimi Hendrix comes out as the opener, and he actually got booed off stage.
What the
Because-
fuck?
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
because all these prepubescent girls were like, oh, I can't wait to see the Monkees. Who's this man?
Who's this?
We love the Monkees. We hate good taste.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so his popularity was exclusively limited to the UK at this point, though. When he visited his friends in New York, he brought a few copies of his album with him, and he gave to his friends, and most of them were like, well, I hope he makes it. Because it wasn't really well received, the Are You Experienced album, when he brought it over there. He didn't have any publicity over there. The black people hated it because, like I said before, that just wasn't their bag. They wanted to hear jazz, they wanted to hear R&B, and they thought it was weird to see this other black guy doing white person music.
Right.
So then the Experience toured like crazy and then released 2 more albums over the course of their career. Axis Bold as Love in 67 and Electric Ladyland in 78. Oh, 68. Excuse me. By the end of 68, the band members and their producer Chaz were fed up with Jimi's antics. Chaz quit the band. He didn't want to work with them, but by all other accounts, Jimi decided to go with another producer. Chaz had made Jimi's career entirely what it was. He was good to him. He was the only guy who said no to Jimi when Jimi was trying to do too many drugs or, try to take 5 hits of acid before going on stage. Chaz was the straight guy who would be like, hey, maybe you should just go play the show.
Switch to diet acid.
Yeah. But after Chaz left that whole situation, Jimi Hendrix's career, the short-lived career, started going downhill.
Really? We're already over the hump of it?
Yeah, like I said, I'm not here to talk about successes. He had a really short career. He was only big for 4 years.
Wow, that's
How many of those years was he actually popular in the U.S. though?
It was the following year with the with the Axis album.
Okay.
Bold as Love. That got a little more radio play. Still not very welcomed by the black community at all.
Right, but white kids are like, oh my God, I'm so cultured right now.
There's a Native American black man on stage playing guitar upside down. Holy heck, he's even using scarves wrong.
The boomers are so accepting. They're so culturally diverse and great.
I know, right?
So diverse. So diverse. So in 1969, after a couple months sabbatical, the band played a few shows in London. But the bass player, Noel Redding, was sick of all the curveballs that Jimi was throwing at him with all the drug shit and not showing up. Wild set changes at the last minute, and pretty much feeling like he was working with a bum. Redding expressed that to Jimi. He was upfront and personal with it. And Jimi, like I said before, he didn't like dealing with issues. So for the next few shows, he had brought in his friend Billy Cox from his army days to play bass without Redding knowing that until he had flown to Denver for a festival. He found out when a reporter asked him, "Why are you here?"
Jeez. That's one way to get fired.
Well, he wasn't actually fired. That's the thing. He was still in the band. So he hated confrontation, and it was to a fault. He actually wasted a lot of people's time like that. Jimi would tell all of his musical lineup ideas to the press, and usually the people that were involved with those lineups would find out last. He would just kind of rattle off ideas, and then people would take him seriously. And then all of a sudden, a guy who he played with 5 years ago, he's like, I guess I have to play in this band now. The last show that he played as the Jimi Hendrix Experience, he let everyone know that it was the last show during the last show. He told the audience, This is the last time we're playing as the Experience. And Mitch Mitchell and Noel Redding are like, fuck this guy.
Jesus Christ.
Did he put acid in his headband? Isn't that like a big thing?
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't catch that, but I'd believe it because he loved taking acid a lot.
On the other hand, I do believe that is a waste of acid. Putting on your forehead.
It gets in there, man.
I know, but the best way to do it is to boof it, like any drugs. You know from Roast Mortem podcast, if you want something to go into your system the fastest, like lobster, like clams, like...
What are you doing?
Right up the anus, right into the sphincter, membranes. Biology.
Travis, I have this prickly pear with your name on it.
Okay.
I'd like you to boof it.
Jimi probably boofed acid. I'm just gonna put it out there. I don't know if that's a fact.
He probably did.
Yeah.
He's got the fingers for it.
It's what I would like to call a roast mortem fact.
Yes. So it's fact.
Mm-hmm.
So Jimmy had actually, previous to all of his success, he had signed a contract with another smaller label, and they started going after him, being like, "You're not even supposed to be writing music here. You're supposed to be a studio musician with us." So then he changed the name again of the band to the Band of Gypsies, which is pretty awful, and his career reflected that.
I never heard of that.
Bad names.
Really bad name.
Dude, hippies are so creative.
Why? Because they paint things with the wrong type of paint?
Yeah, right, dude? Like, they had no, like, if you spin something really
t-shirt,
fast,
yeah.
it looks crazy far out, bro.
Let's use these roller
Sandals.
bands. Let's feed them to turtles when we're done.
Dude, imagine if
Birkenstocks.
Crocs came out, like, I don't know, 40 years earlier. Change the world.
Armpit hair.
Change the world one croc at a time.
That's horrific.
In May of 1969, Hendrix was going through customs at a Toronto airport. They found heroin and hashish on him while going through customs. This should have been breaking news at this point, but for some reason no one seemed to care, including myself. He was taken to court. His lawyers were able to convince the judge and jury that a fan must have planted the drugs on Jimmy.
It's a good lawyer.
Because he knows better.
That's a good fan. That's a good fan.
Great fan. When Jimmy's Cali rental house was burglarized, he immediately blamed his friend Paul, who was not guilty, by the way, and he punched Paul in the stomach and started throwing rocks at him.
Oh, nice.
Just a few days later, he smashed a bottle of vodka over his girlfriend's head.
Oh!
Fuck.
Full or empty?
That I don't know, but I think it was empty because he was drinking pretty heavily.
Makes sense.
Wow, okay, so the apple doesn't fall far from the anus.
Yeah. And see, as awful as Al was to his one Lucille, Jimmy was awful to hundreds of women.
Yeah,
Constantly.
and I mean, okay, beating up a woman, that's terrible. Smashing a bottle of
Yes.
vodka on her head, that's hospitalized. That's not like I'm just going to cover it up with some fucking, like, foundation. That's like, I need to go to the hospital, get stitches.
Head trauma, yeah.
A lot of foundation.
I might die if this isn't looked at properly.
Yeah.
Internal bleeding.
Another longtime girlfriend, Kathy Etchingham, was on a payphone in public when Jimmy overheard something he didn't like out of her mouth and took the receiver from her hand and beat her with it.
I remember that.
You remember that?
Real
What?
nice guy.
I remember hearing that he did that, not as it
I was like,
broke.
Cody, how old are you?
You know who can get away with that? Joe Pesci when he's playing a movie part. Anyone else really can't do it
Yeah.
that well.
Yeah.
Kathy had an open relationship with Jimmy for a long time because Jimmy was the wild man of Borneo. Can I say that? That's not my phrase, but
We'll see how it flies.
Quotation marks.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what reaction we get from the audience.
Satire in Minecraft.
She did an interview saying that Jimmy would like to do 4 or 5 chicks at the same time. Pretty rad.
Yeah,
wouldn't we all?
You know, I don't blame him.
He would also like to film it.
Okay.
Wouldn't we all?
Gotta remember it.
For memories. I mean, that's like, scrapbooking. Ladies can do
Yeah.
Sudoku
Memories.
scrapbooks or whatever what are those things called? They have like the Japanese scrapbooking that's really popular now.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know. It was
Yeah,
on
that's
some
a weird West
Cosmo.
Coast
No,
thing.
it was on some fucking New York City Cosmo shit that I did. It's Japanese.
Oh, sorry.
It's Japanese fucking scrapbooking.
Oh, seaweed scrapbook?
Yeah, so now, men can do their things like, hey, force them. Just gonna film it for scrap. Just for scrapping.
So I'd like to take a quote from Kathy when she was interviewed. He had this thing about taking films of really fat women or skinny ugly ones. Then he used to show the films and laugh at them. He would also get friends of his to film women running around naked in his room. That's like revenge porn, but
Narcissistic,
not
maybe.
really for revenge. Like he would have sex with women he found extremely unattractive and show it off. I don't know who the joke was on.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's the punchline here? It's just like, hey Mike, get your camcorder. You're gonna film me like porking this porker.
All right, Jimmy. I guess I'll record it for you.
You're the best cousin
Did you
ever.
steal my shit? Did you steal my shit?
You said I could borrow it.
And then Jimmy's like, excuse me while I kiss this guy.
Jimmy is also unofficially credited for making up the term Band-Aids for groupies.
That's a term?
Oh, hey, look at that.
Yeah, that's a term. Band-Aids, ladies.
Stick around.
Is that like what U2 did in the 80s?
What are you talking about?
What was
I
it
don't know.
Band-Aid?
Bono's-
Where it was like Bono was like, we're gonna cure AIDS by getting AIDS.
Bono took everything rock and roll and made it
How's
not
that
rock
working
and
out?
roll. It's just like, oh yeah, Band-Aids, that's cool. Let's help people with it. What the fuck do you think this is, Bono? This isn't the church. We're supposed to be fucking disgusting women and filming it and showing it to our friends and jumping out of hotel windows.
Bono, it's like the Joshua tree, bruh. It's like where Jesus kissed like the apple, and then Eve was like, "Yo, let me film it."
All right, let's talk about Woodstock.
Please.
So Woodstock was a fucking mess. If you don't know about Woodstock, that's weird. And I'm not talking about the 99 one. I'm talking about the 69 one. Sick. Jimmy headlined the famous event. But what most people don't know is that most people left before he played at 8 a.m. in the morning on a Monday.
Oh, nice.
So Woodstock was a festival that had 400,000 people at it.
Right.
When he played, there were 30,000 people.
Wow.
And most of them were trying to leave. So if you ever meet an old person who tells you they saw Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock, they're lying.
It's a good send-off.
Dude,
leaving.
I just think that the whole like Woodstock thing is so fucking stupid. Like it was this fucking cultural revolution. Like we were all here. We were all
Yeah,
like
right.
here. We were like culturalists. We were rebelling against everything. And it's like, no, dude,
You were shitting
just
in the woods.
yeah, you were just crapping in the woods and fucking like I don't know, watching a show. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah, and you got
Fucking in
free
blankets.
You got free peanut butter and jelly sandwiches from nice people that didn't want to see you starve to death on their property. And then you voted Reagan in a few years later, you fucking idiots.
What are you thinking?
Well, I'm just saying, Coachella
so-
happens every year now, and I'm sure everyone that goes there comes out and they're like, dude, we just changed the world.
Why am I dressed like a Native American?
After Jimmy had played Woodstock, he had been up for 3 days and he collapsed when he got off of the stage. To him, though, the more important show was one that he played 2 weeks later. It was a benefit show in Harlem. He wanted to show the stuck-up blues and jazz fans that he could play rock and roll too. It was a free show that had an attendance of a few thousand, and he was headlining. And by the time he went on, it was dwindled down to about 200.
Oh, no.
And they all were throwing eggs at him.
Wait, real eggs?
Really?
Wait, what? Hold on.
Yeah. Real eggs.
Free eggs. Okay, he's a good musician.
Yeah, free eggs. For omelets for days, band. Shortly after, Hendrix was kidnapped one night while on the
Holy
prowl
fuck.
for some cocaine after a jam session in a nightclub called The Salvation. He was held hostage for ransom. Instead of giving into the commands of the kidnappers, his manager, Michael Jeffrey, hired goons to fuck up the kidnappers.
There you go.
They ended up finding Jimmy 2 days later, untouched. So, there's a theory behind this one that Jeffrey organized the kidnapping, as his suspicions grew that Jimmy wanted to find a new manager.
Oh.
Fuck.
He wanted to show him how
Bad
good of a
manager.
manager was.
Who did he
Jesus
hire?
Christ.
Jason Statham?
Liam Neeson.
What's his name? Jimi Hendrix. I'll find him. Yeah, we had him in London for a bit. I know.
Yeah, and then he puts on his driver gloves and he's like,
I remember that experience. Lock, stock, and one guitar-playing black man.
yep,
Yep,
that's
that's
the
it.
one. They just gotta get the hash and the guitar.
Yes, I
Jesus
love
Christ.
it. So Jimmy's drug use had gotten pretty crazy. He was in Sweden on one of his last shows. He walked out on stage, greeted the audience, did nothing, just kind of stood there.
Pretty avant-garde.
Mitch
Yeah.
Miller, who was the original drummer, who had quit and was now back in the band, just started playing drums, hoping Jimmy would join in. But Jimmy just kind of stared out and passed out at the 8-minute mark.
Oh, wow.
Jesus Christ.
Get your money worth.
Yes. Now, you know what that means. He's probably going to do something. So, Mike, why don't you ask me how he did that?
Here we go.
How does Jimmy kick the bucket?
Ooh, I'm glad you asked, Mike. Unprovoked.
James Nazium.
Jimmy
No.
had this feeling of impending doom following him around for the last few years of his life. Monica Daneman, his girlfriend at the time, had picked Jimmy up from a party and brought her back to her hotel room in Kensington. They split a bottle of wine, and then Jimmy tried to go to bed. So what do? You eat 9 sleeping pills. Vesperax.
No.
A pill that's supposed to be split in half, so it was 18 times the amount of recommended dosage.
Jeez.
Then he
All
went to
right,
bed.
so can I stop
Then he
you right there? Because I had an experience, right?
No.
So they make
All right.
Flintstones vitamins, right? And it's got all my favorite cartoon
okay.
characters on it.
They
right?
make those.
And I'm like, yo, hell yeah,
Barney
let me get
Rubble.
all of these. Let me get them, son.
It's candy.
It's candy. And I just like had weird
Those
pee.
taste like shit.
It just was very thick, like thick and frothy. But if you do that with sleeping
Ew.
pills, it's not like Flintstones vitamin. That was my story.
Did you have a
Wait,
pee
you
that
peed
looked like
syrup or something?
Pete Flintstones?
Was it a solid? Was it like the tongue of a Komodo dragon tasting the air around it?
Going out and
If a
coming back in?
Komodo dragon is like a Siamese that hasn't had water for like 3 days, then yes.
Oh wow. That's awful.
So anyway, he's doing that with sleeping pills. There's not even funny shapes on sleeping pills.
No, they're just pill shaped.
Boring.
Yeah, so he takes a handful of these sleeping pills and he throws up and asphyxiates on his own vomit.
Oh,
Wow.
fuck. He Chris Farley'd.
Now, some of his buddies claim that he committed suicide, as he was somewhat depressed during this time or obsessed with just moving into the next life. But the record label went after anyone who went public with that view, as they had taken a $1 million accidental life insurance policy out on him. Everyone was sad ever.
Oh, fuck.
I thought he died from drugs.
He did.
Well, I guess
Sleeping
I
pills
did-
are
yeah,
drugs.
yeah, but like,
you listening,
you know what I
Mike?
mean? Like acid, like
Mike, that's
like
drugs.
Tons of acid or something like that.
Dude,
I always
he-
thought he died from like too much acid.
No, he just died the way of like all the
Like
SoundCloud
heroin.
rappers.
Oh, yeah.
He went to bed undisturbed.
Yeah.
Permanently.
But also, didn't he die at the at that like golden age of rock stars? What was it, 27?
27.
Yeah, he was 27.
Wow.
That's also, just to let you know, that's why I went into the parents pretty hard, because it's kind of hard to make a whole script about someone who died when they were 27 and not very well documented outside of the praise.
Yeah, right.
Well, I can see his upbringing.
Wow, yeah.
kinda
No, I think it
fucked
was a
him
really
to
good
be-
script.
Yes.
Oh, well, thanks, guys. I have a little
Well,
bit more.
do you know who started the 27 Club?
Who?
Robert Johnson. Yeah, the
Oh,
blues
really?
guitarist.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a good one.
Yeah, I feel
could
like he
do it.
might be someone we could roast because he's pretty. He's did some shady shit.
I actually looked into him. He's not that well documented. I don't think we'll be able to get a full episode.
I don't know. I watched something about
Masterclass.
it. Maybe we'll do blues people.
Yeah, you
as a masterclass.
you watched a 45-minute special with Flash animation.
Yeah, it was great.
With a bunch of people telling you their opinion about how
Especially that guy with the
that's-
groany.
If that's what Netflix does, yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it off camera.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna trust the man with the groany tail walking around in a cemetery. So sorry, Tom, you're not a boomer with a groany tail.
Oh fuck. All right. Anyway, let's talk about you know who's still alive when Jimmy died besides everyone else?
Janis
His
Joplin.
daddy,
Yeah, Daddy.
Alan.
Wow. Okay.
Al is still alive. So in 1995, Mr. Hendrix and his family gained full control of Jimi Hendrix's music, name,
no.
and likeness, estimated between $60 and $90 million after 2 years of the legal battle with the record label.
Wow.
He controlled all of Jimmy's money and tried to write Leon, his younger brother, who Jimmy adored, out of the will, just out of spite.
Nice.
But that was overturned.
Good.
Do yourself a favor, watch some interviews with Al Hendrix. That penis died of congestive heart disease in 2002.
He lived until
Congestive heart disease.
2002.
Yeah, he was an old, crotchety piece of shit who didn't die from alcohol poisoning somehow.
Honestly, I think that guy was fucking worse than our subject.
I think so,
Yeah.
too.
That guy made our subject,
Yeah.
so yeah. Sins of our fathers.
Yep. Well, I guess that's about it for this.
There you go.
What's your favorite Jim
I believe
Hendrix?
he died from sleeping pills.
I only know one.
I like castles made of sand.
Castle made of sand, fall into the sea. Eventually. I'm gonna sing all of them.
I like One Rainy Wish. That's a good one.
Wait, One Rainy Wish? A one rainy wish.
No, he
I'm
talks
gonna
about like
wish
roses
you,
in
wish
that
you,
song.
wish you,
I don't know why
wish
it's called
you
One
star.
Rainy Wish, but
Travis's answer to not knowing the song is to make up his own version of it.
See, I know nothing, and I thought he was just doing it. Like, he could have fooled me there. Like, I'm such a non-musical fuck.
Cody, what's your favorite Jim Hendrix? Beastie Boys? What are you gonna say?
Yeah. Sabotage, right.
Sabotage? Attention all of y'all,
Sabotage.
there's a watchtower. Sabotage.
All right, well, thanks for tuning in to the
Thank
Roast
you.
Mortem
Get
coverage
us out.
of Jimi Hendrix, and we're done here.
Hey, guess what? You should check us out on Patreon.com because that's where we can afford enough money to buy sleeping pills or Flintstones vitamins, so we can be big grown boys.
Don't you want to know about 4 men who are basically pissing fruit leather?
oh my god,
Mike's
nice
still
podcast,
growing.
actually.
He needs his Flintstones.
Yeah.
I need those.
I'm only going to give you Barney Rubbles, dude.
No.
So go to patreon.com/rosemortemcast so we can get Flintstones vitamins.
Please. Or whatever
I hate
else we
those
need.
vitamins so much.
Do it. Danky Shane,
Those taste
everyone.
so
Danky.
terrible.
Danky Shane.
Patreon.com/rosemortemcast to find all your favorite things where we'll get your money and we'll be able to tell you new things about the history of the world and everything about it.
Danky.
Can I see that thing?
Yeah.
Bye.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
Before Mike gets to use it.
Ain't it? Oh.
Push this in to do it.
Ain't it? Have a good night. /roastmortem/patreon.com/ give us your money for free right now. Expect nothing in return.
Are you tired of not paying for your favorite product? Patreon.com/roastmortemcast.
What's a Patreon, you say?
It's a website where fans can support their favorite content creators.
Sounds like a deal.
Deal.
This is only if you got the money.
We got koozies, we got custom obituaries, we got stickers, we have movie commentaries that you download and watch with said movie. It's like you have friends in the room.
What if I don't like history?
You're wrong.
You love history.
How much money can I give?
Anything will help. We like doing the show. We're going to do it anyway.
Mike's losing us money at every corner.
Roast Mortemcast is here to help you take a load off that wallet.
It's all been arranged just for us to get your money.
I'm telling you that you need to give money to Roast Mortem Podcast so we can do it even better.
Are you tired of exploiting these 4 men?
Or you could even sponsor. You got a stupid-ass business? I'd love to talk about your business.
Point to point.
I'm too busy to read. Where can I find this podcast?
So call today at patreon.com/roastmortemcast. That's ROASTMORTEMCAST at patreon.com/roastmortemcast.
Yeah, if you want to buy me a beer, that's cool too, you know.